Today, I'm gonna go over exactly what I would do at 52 years old if I was out of shape. Where would I start? Where would I begin? Guys, are you 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 plus years like me, and you're out of shape and you don't know what to do? What I've seen in my 30 plus years of fitness training is that there comes a time where you either give up or you decide you wanna be fit. I call that the crossroads of fitness or fatness. You have a decision to make, and a lot of people get to a certain point in their life and they say, you know what? I don't care anymore. I don't care what I look like. I don't care how I feel. I've made enough money so I can just get by. And I can continue on life like this. I can go to my kids' soccer games or football games or baseball games, and I'll be the heavyset guy on the sidelines that really doesn't stand out very much. Or you decide, if I get fit, I'll be able to give more to my job, more to my family, more to life. And you decide to make that decision. So yes, when you're on the sidelines, people look at you and they go, wow, I wonder what that guy does. He's in shape, he's fit. So you can either be that guy or you can be the other guy, and it's a decision that you have to make. Now, what's the first thing that someone who's out of shape and overweight typically does? They run. Now, is that a good thing? Maybe. But think about this. If you're overweight, all of your weight now goes into all of your joints repetitively, over and over and over. You're driving weight into your knees, you're driving weight into your hips, you're driving weight into your ankles and your toes. So most likely, running may not be the best thing for you to do. Now, on the flip side, running burns a ton of calories. If I were to start any type of running program, personally, I would either try to find some sort of surface, like a golf course, which is very difficult to run on, that's very soft. You want a soft surface to cushion your joints, or get a decent treadmill, or find a gym that has a decent treadmill. It's a great way to burn calories if you can sustain and go for a decent amount of time and put a decent amount of intensity into it. If you're plodding along, you're probably not gonna burn that much. And that's what happens to people when they first start. So there are better ways to do this. Now, cycling is another way to get things done, right? It's non-weight bearing, but it's an expensive sport. You need to buy a bike. Bicycles are not cheap. You need to buy bike shoes. You need to get your bike outfit. Biking is also more time consuming. You have to spend longer on the bike to get the same benefits that you would get from a run. That is because it is non-weight bearing. Non-weight bearing because you're sitting on a saddle. You're not bearing all of your body weight like you are when you're running. It's time consuming, it's expensive, and it's not necessarily the best way to get the most bang for your buck when you're first starting out to try to lose weight and get in shape. Now, what about swimming? Swimming is a great activity. It's tough for me. I have a lot of lean tissue, so I sink like a rock. I get in the water and I'm like a blender trying to swim. So for me, it's extremely difficult. I get really out of breath when I do it. Now, I don't know about you, but getting up in the morning or in the afternoon or evening, driving over to find a pool, changing, getting in the water, that is typically not the most appealing thing for me. Now, it may be appealing for you and it may be a great activity for you, but I will tell you, time consuming, you won't burn as many calories as you would doing land-based activities, because most people are gonna get in the water and they're gonna swim nice and easy, gently. I've seen very overweight people swim extremely efficiently. I have been passed many times back in my triathlon days by people that had big bellies and were heavy set. Now, how, with my fitness level, were these people who were overweight able to fly right by me? Because swimming is not a weight-bearing sport. It's just not. And you may have better technique. You probably have to have some sort of decent lungs to do it, so you may be in decent shape, but you don't look like you are. These are typically the three activities that most people will gravitate towards when they're trying to get in shape. I am going to tell you that that is not the best way to go in my experience. 30 plus years as a trainer and as an athlete. The best way to lose weight at any age, and especially 50 plus, is to do resistance training. That means weight training. And you can do it in conjunction with any of those activities that I described earlier. That's a good thing. You want to be a jack of all trades. However, you will not build a tremendous amount of lean tissue doing steady state cardiovascular activities. Now, I am not discouraging you from doing any type of cardiovascular activity, steady state cardiovascular activity. It's a good thing. It's healthy. It'll help you live a nice long life. But if you're really trying to optimize your fitness, you want people to look at you and go, that guy works out, or that woman works out. You want to do body changing activity, and that is resistance training and weight training. Now, before I go over your options with weight training, I want to tell you that there is one crucial and critical component of this entire picture of getting effectively fit, and that is nutrition, and we're going to take care of that after I go over all your options. Now, I'm going to go over a few different options that you can use when you get into the gym, what type of resistance training you should do, what you shouldn't do. A lot of people feel like they need to do full body workouts when they first start in the gym. And that's great because full body workouts burn a ton of calories, especially if you have very short rest time in between. The problem with full body workouts is that if you hit every single body part and you're just starting out, you're gonna be sore as can be the next day, and you probably won't be able to either do anything or you won't be able to put in the same effort. You can't do full body workouts day after day after day. You will break down. Plain and simple. So you could do a full body workout and then the following day do some lighter steady state cardio where you're flushing out your muscles. It's not lactic acid that gets you sore the next day. It's tissue breakdown. So don't think that you're getting rid of lactic acid the next day. Lactic acid actually gets recycled and then gets returned as energy. So an example of lactic acid, you were doing a biceps curl and you got to the point where you couldn't get another curl because lactic acid is filled up in your muscles and it stops you. That eventually gets recycled, turned into energy. So knowing that you're going to be very sore the next day, lighter cardiovascular work would do just fine. You want to burn calories. That's the overall goal. As far as calories in, calories out. If you take in too many calories and you don't burn enough calories off, you're going to gain weight, plain and simple. So the idea is to burn more calories than you take in. And full body workouts are great for that. But just keep in mind, that next day has to be very, very light, enough so that you recover, and then hopefully your soreness hasn't gotten so bad that you can't do anything the next day. So it is something to consider. The second option, which I personally prefer, and I do it with my clients, is a split routine. And there are a number of different ways to utilize a split routine. The old school standard of split routines, essentially, Monday, chest and triceps, Tuesday, back and biceps, Wednesday, a big shoulder routine, and Thursday, a leg routine. Then you could either rest or repeat. So what a split routine allows you to do is to work specific muscle groups so that you can then work opposing muscle groups or other muscle groups the following day. So if I were to work my chest on a Monday, I could then work my back on a Tuesday. If I were then to work my shoulders on a Wednesday, I could work my legs on a Thursday, and I really would be able to continue to work out without much of a break in the action. The downside of a split routine is that you don't burn as many calories as you do during a full body workout. That's just the nature of it. You won't be able to burn as many calories unless you worked a lot harder during those specific exercises. You either increase the volume or you increase the duration of your workout. So there are a number of different ways to actually get it accomplished. I personally utilize a variable split routine, so I change things up every single week. I basically have the same framework, but I mix and match the exercises, change up the order of exercise, I change the duration, I change the volume, I change the weight. So you want to make sure when you're first starting, you want to keep things simple. Simple is better. So you want to get in and choose exercises that are easy for you to perform with good form so that you don't get hurt initially, and that you're able to get energized and motivated to come back and do it the next day. If you're too sore and you can barely move the next day, you're gonna be less likely to be motivated to get out of bed and get back into the gym. So keep your body hungry. Keep it looking and craving exercise and movement. Now, all of this is great, but if your nutrition is not decent, you're gonna have a little bit of trouble. As a matter of fact, you're probably gonna have a lot of trouble. Most people overthink nutrition, or they underthink it. And underthinking it essentially is eating without thinking about what you're actually putting into your body. So my general rule of thumb is think about the foods that you put in your body. Are they going to help you or are they going to hurt you? And that's typically how I look at things. If I look at a chocolate chip cookie on a specific day and I realize in my mind that this is not going to be good for me, but I want it, I then have the choice to make whether I'm going to consume it or not. And sometimes I'll have it, and sometimes I won't. So restrictive diets, I find impossible to stick with. And you'll see that there are a million different diet plans out there. There are a ton. Most people cannot stay on these diets for an extended period of time, and they end up failing. You may lose a little bit of weight or a lot of weight initially, and all of a sudden you can't take this type of lifestyle anymore. You go back to your old lifestyle and you put the weight back on. So all of that effort that you actually put into it is now lost because you're back to square one, if not worse. I personally practice intuitive eating. I've practiced it since I was about 8 years old. And intuitive eating is just understanding what you're putting in, understanding if it's good for you or if it's not good for you. So if I look at fried food, I intuitively know it's going to be higher in saturated fats. This is not going to be great for me. It's going to be higher in calories. So if I take in a lot of it, I'm probably going to gain weight, and it's probably not going to be good for my system. If I look at something grilled, I'm going to say, all right, that's better than fried food. I can have a little bit more of this. It's not going to be as bad for me. It's not going to be as caloric for me. So what I find is that most people take in too many calories. Plain and simple. Most people don't understand portion sizes. I personally don't overeat. I never get to that point where my stomach is so full that I have to unbutton the button on my pants. You'll see that happen a lot of times at Thanksgiving. You'll look at different holidays or different special occasions that people say, oh, I'm going to just tear it up. I'm going to eat a ton. And you can do that, but you have to keep your goal in mind. If your goal is to lose weight and be effectively healthy and thin, you probably don't want to do that. And you're going to say, well, it's just one time. It's just one time. And people say that to me all the time. And then that one time turns into 2 times, turns into 3 times. And then all of a sudden someone's gained a lot of weight and they go, how did this happen? Well, you made bad choices. So if you consume too many calories, plain and simple, you're going to gain weight. It's just the way it goes. It's the unfortunate part of life. The more you eat, the less calories that you burn off, the more weight that you're going to gain. And it's going to show. It's going to show in your body. It's going to show in your face. So most people will tell you that you cannot outrun a poor diet. And I'm going to tell you that is the case for 99% of the population. It's just the way it goes. Now, I have personally always, when I say outran, I've always overworked and outworked whatever I've eaten. So it's been a challenge for me to put on weight because I burned that many calories over the course of a day. I always have. Since I started competing in sports as a young boy and then competing professionally as I got older. It's just the way I went. I could eat a box of Twinkies when I was in college and still wake up the next morning weighing less. Now, if you eat something like that, you may wake up the next morning weighing less. But all of a sudden, and I call this the slinky effect, 6-7 days later, you get on the scale and you go, what in the world happened? I've been eating pretty good all week. Well, you consumed a crap ton of calories in one serving, one sitting, and then maybe you did it a little bit more and you put on weight. So take responsibility for your diet. If you eat poorly, understand that you're not going to get the results that you want, but you have to actually take responsibility for it. It's up to you. It's your choice. It's totally a choice. You can decide to give up. You can decide you want to be better. You can decide I'm looking in the mirror and I'm happy with the way I look, so I don't need to make any changes. Completely up to you. But if you want to make change, really the beginning of it is taking responsibility and owning it. Don't say I don't understand why I'm gaining weight. There's got to be something else wrong. Sometimes there is. But don't come to me and say, I don't understand why I put on all this weight. And I've worked out for 3 weeks straight hard, 4 weeks straight hard, and I've only lost a little bit of weight. Well, 2 things. You may have overeaten, consumed too many calories, or it took you 30 years to put on all of that weight and you expect it to come off in 3 to 4 weeks. That's not the way it works. It's a process that has to occur consistently. If it doesn't occur consistently and effectively, it's not going to happen. So take responsibility, get out there, work on your nutrition, understand what you take in. If you want to lose weight, take in fewer calories, burn off more. If you want to gain weight, take in more calories, burn off less. It's all a trade-off. Get motivated, get excited, decide what you want to do and what you want to look like. Keep it in your vision all day long. This is what I want to look like. If you decide what you want to look like, you will live like that. You won't make poor decisions, or you won't make them as often. So keep a vision in your head of exactly what you want to look like, exactly what you want to feel like, and it will happen. Get out there, get it done. If you enjoyed this as much as I did, like and subscribe. I'll see y'all the next time.